The war between humans and the Virelli had ended months ago. The treaties were signed, and the battlefield lay silent, but the scars ran deep on both sides. The Virelli homeworld, once lush with violet jungles and spiraling crystal spires, was now a shadow of its former self, bombed, burned, and abandoned. On the outer edges of the ruined capital, a young Virelli widow named Seyla lay curled beneath a fractured dome. Her skin, once pearlescent with life, now dulled to a lifeless gray. The wind blew dust over her shriveled form. In her arms a small child whimpered, a baby too weak to cry. Seyla had been a diplomat's wife, once adorned in luminous silks and fragrant oils. But her mate had perished in the first strikes of the war. She fled with her daughter, scavenging the wastelands. Their people had scattered or died, and no one came for her, not even her own kind. She had not eaten in days. Her milk was gone, her child too light in her arms. The only thing keeping her from surrendering to the soil was the soft, unconscious breath of her infant. And then he arrived. Chapter 1. The Stranger in the Dust. His name was Cal Monroe, a former human engineer turned relief worker. He had volunteered to remain on Virelli after the war, helping to rebuild what his people had destroyed. But most humans, especially soldiers, kept their distance from the Virelli, fearing their spindly limbs and golden eyes. Cal didn't care. He didn't come with a gun. Just a pack, a spade, and a heart that couldn't stand injustice. He spotted Seyla by accident. He had been collecting samples near the ruins when he saw a faint shimmer, Virelli skin caught in a sunbeam. She didn't move when he approached. "Hey," he said gently, kneeling. Her eyes fluttered open, hollow and cautious. He looked down at the baby clutched to her chest, barely moving. He reached into his pack and took out his only meal for the day, a nutrient bar wrapped and warm from the sun. Without hesitation, he tore it in half and held it toward her. He stared. "Eat," he urged. Her lips parted, but not to thank him. Instead, she whispered in broken common. "Why?" "Because you're alive," he said simply. "And I'm not letting you die." Chapter 2. The meal that changed everything. She chewed slowly, lips trembling. The baby stirred as Seyla swallowed. Her eyes moistened, not just from nourishment but from disbelief. No one had shown her kindness since the war began. Not even her own kin. Cal took off his jacket and draped it over the child. Then he sat beside them and lit a small heating pad from his pack. They didn't speak for a long time. When she had the strength, Seyla finally whispered her name. "Seyla," she said. "Cal," he replied. That night, he carried them both back to the aid post, despite objections from others. "You're bringing one of them here," the relief station leader barked. "She's starving. And she has a baby," Cal growled. "Do we only help those who look like us?" There were no more arguments after that. Chapter 3. A New Shelter. Seyla stayed in the old medical wing of the aid station. Cal visited every day. He brought her clean water, nutrient pouches, and sat with her as she learned more words in common. Her daughter, Lyra, began to grow stronger, her golden eyes slowly brightening like dawn over ash. Seyla never asked for more than she was given. She always shared half with her daughter, even if it meant going hungry again. Cal noticed. One day, he brought a small bundle of seeds. "For you," he said, "to grow something real again." Her hands trembled as she touched the tiny pods. "Why do you keep helping?" she asked, more fluent now. He paused. "Because I remember what it's like to lose everything. My sister. She died in the first Virelli retaliation strike." She gasped, looking away in shame. "It wasn't your fault," he said. "None of this was yours. Or mine." Seyla looked at him long, her expression unreadable. Then quietly she said, "You're the first human I've seen smile without fear." Chapter 4. Planting Hope. Over the weeks, the seeds grew. Tiny shoots pushed through the dusty soil behind the aid station, nurtured by Seyla's care and Cal's tools. Flowers bloomed that hadn't been seen since before the war. Violet starfruits, sacred to the Virelli. Other survivors came to see. A few Virelli women began planting their own. Cal brought more seeds. Together they built a shared garden. The air changed. The walls between human and Virelli cracked, then began to fall. Cal and Seyla talked often, about their worlds, about grief. Sometimes they laughed. Sometimes they cried. One evening, as the sun melted over the ruins, Seyla touched his hand. "You gave me life," she said. He turned to her, warmth rising in his chest. "No, you kept your child alive. I just gave you a push. But you gave your last meal to a stranger." He smiled. "Best decision I ever made." Chapter 5. The home they built. Months passed. Seyla walked with strength now, no longer limping from hunger. Lyra could toddle, golden curls bouncing. Cal had moved his quarters to a small shelter beside hers. Neither of them spoke about it, but both felt it was right. The other workers accepted Seyla more openly. She had become a symbol of what peace could look like. One night, a sandstorm tore through the outpost. Seyla, Lyra, and Cal huddled together in the tiny shelter. As the wind howled, Lyra clung to Cal's chest and fell asleep. Seyla looked at him through the flickering light. "She thinks you're her father." Cal swallowed. "I don't mind." Silence lingered. "Do you?" he asked, voice low. She looked down, then back at him with the faintest smile. "No." Chapter 6. A quiet proposal. On the anniversary of their first meeting, Cal brought Seyla a gift, a necklace carved from crystal shards they had found together. It glowed faintly in the dusk. Seyla touched it reverently. "I didn't think I could ever love again," she said softly. "But you reminded me." He reached for her hand. "You saved me too, Seyla. From bitterness. From hate." She nodded, eyes shimmering. "Then let's not be alone anymore," he said. And she whispered, "Yes." Chapter 7. The Peace We Plant. Years later, the Virelli gardens bloomed across the ruins. The aid station became a permanent settlement where humans and Virelli lived side by side. Lyra ran through fields of starfruit, her laughter echoing into the sky. Cal taught engineering to Virelli youths, while Seyla opened the first interspecies school. When visitors asked how the new world had begun, Seyla would tell them simply, "A human gave his last meal to a dying mother. That's all it took." And every evening, as Cal sat beside her under the glowing trees, hand in hand with the woman he had saved, and who had saved him in return, he'd look out at the world they had rebuilt and know he'd made the right choice. Not to walk away, not to hate, but to give when it mattered most.